What's up, team? This is Rut. I just want to give you a heads up. If you got any small children or sensitive adults in the room, this podcast has some pretty extreme explicit language like and or and. So if any of those words get under your skin a bit, you might want not to listen to this one. But if you don't mind words like or then tune in because you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Team Never Quit. Team Never Quit. Team Never Quit Radio.
You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. This show is a show I have been waiting for a long, long time, brother. Because the guy that's coming on not only is hard as nails, but is hilarious. This guy cracks me up on a level that is right up there with Matt Best and Nick, from Ranger Up, and Jack and all those guys out there. Evan, I mean, this dude is funny. Now, the reality of it is I don't think he's trying to be that funny. I just think this is one of those dudes that's just...
Why not be great? Like, why is everybody laughing? I'm serious.
like
this is serious.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you laughing
This
at
is
me?
funny. This is really dressed.
Am I funny?
Am I funny to you?
Do I make you laugh?
Use you. I'm here
How
for
good
that.
is that my job? Is that what I do?
Yeah.
When you have that flashback to that movie, it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? My favorite is when he breaks the gun on, and he's like, "You broke my gun, dude." Anyways, so I
didn't mean to get blood on your floor.
Yeah. You're digging the hole.
You're digging the hole.
You're digging the hole on this one. Oh man, God bless that movie. Anyways,
How many holes do you think are in the desert in Vegas?
lots,
Lots, right?
lots and lots and lots and lots.
I wonder if they
In the Everglades and in New Jersey.
When they're building the casinos,
Yeah.
maybe that's why the strip is where it's at. Is because they're scared to dig up the rest of it.
I tell you, they had it covered up.
Right?
Bugsy Siegel.
I wonder if he how often that happens if they keep that on the down low.
They dig up another body?
Yeah, if they're building a casino, they're building something. Yeah,
And they roll it up
Roll it
in the
up.
dirt.
It's
Bones.
Yeah.
Like,
There were probably those lazy mobsters that didn't have time. I don't feel like driving them that far out of town. They just bury them on the edge of town.
Right there.
Las Vegas naturally got bigger, so they're just constantly digging up bodies.
Oh, Steve Wynn has like a whole collection, and here's an archaeological
that would be
dig.
epic, right? I mean, of course, it's Vegas. There's a collection of bodies we dug up, digging the hotel.
This right
He
here
had the
is
suit on with
Bugsy
the
Siegel's
fat
driver.
tie, the polyester
Oh my God!
Identified by their clothing.
other clothing.
Totally. In the era, the 40s, 50s, 60s. All right. Hey,
Talk about defining, though. I remember growing up. Of course, my father was an outlaw. We
Right.
go into stories about that all day. I had an uncle, Lucky DeLay was his name. Considered my uncle, man. They found him in the trunk of a car, hands tied behind his back, two in the back of the head. They were hitmen for the mob. I didn't know that.
it's a little something you just don't pick up as a child.
I thought he was great, man. Big burly sucker. He'd wrestle
He's
around
so
with us.
cool.
I saw him. Check this out. We were at the track. We were at the track every weekend racing the horses, and we were in one of the paddocks, and he was leaning against this one of the stall doors but it had the window was open, and we had one of our thoroughbreds in there. His name was Hercules. It dude came out and bit Lucky on the shoulder, like right here, man.
Ow.
And he turned around and hit him right between the eyes and knocked him down.
A horse.
Wow.
Isn't that in a movie
That's
too?
a real thing,
Like,
man.
That's real. You saw
happened.
that out. Uncle Lucky.
Boom. Yeah. Found
And
him
you're sitting there like this.
Oh, that was awesome. I thought that was a normal thing.
How the hell did you break your hand doing that? That's all bone
he did
right
it.
there.
Yeah, he was a boxer and the stories about this dude were legendary, man. But yeah, I don't know. He just hit that sucker,
Wow.
shook it off.
I don't think I'd ever have the inclination to hit a horse. You know?
Well, you ever been bit?
No, I've never been bit either.
You'd hit him.
Okay.
I love that. I've grown up around my whole life, man. One grabs a hold of
No,
you.
that's not about that. It's about
And don't
hitting
worry
that
about
pain
anything you can back
The
up and
possibility of
throw
really
into
doing damage.
you
to
know,
yourself.
yeah, anything you throw into a horse, they're not. It's good.
It's nothing, dude. That's why it's like I go get a cow prod or a cattle prod.
There's
and
a
hit 'em.
reason why they're used for crowd control.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Gonna shimmy over.
And I've heard that until you stand in front of one of those lines where they're pushing people back with horses, you just don't get it.
So this show we're doing is about crowd controlling gangsters with horses.
Right.
That's what the show is about. Negative. This
It
show
might
is
as well be.
No, I forgot how we got on this
You're
topic.
right. There's some truth to
We
that.
went down a rabbit's hole inside the rabbit's hole.
We
I was talking about how like that movie defines kind of a generation as we were growing up because everyone thought Italians were gangsters.
Every single one of them.
You know what I'm talking about? And they had the flair, and they made that into what it is. But I remember that because they're not all gangsters.
No.
And they don't really like that.
No. My buddy Morgan Pepitone's dad owned a Subway shop. Right? One of the first Subways. He's an awesome guy. And then a breakfast place.
man.
Yeah. My other buddy Frankie Papa's dad.
Yeah,
Frank
we go to
Gravina's
Italy
dad.
sometimes.
All the good guys. Shout out to you guys. Anyways, the other thing that really fires me up about Derek and the guys he hangs out with and the videos he makes is because he brings something really special. He brings veteran humor to the masses.
That's it. That's exactly you said it, man. I couldn't figure out how to say it, but what he takes our attitude, right, the humor that we have inside the military, and breaks that out into the civilian world.
And enhances people's lives with it. I mean, he shows that, hey, our way of thinking, our dark humor, the way we address things is a little tweaked or whatever, but it's all positive. And in its essence, it's all positive. It's a derivative of community. It's a derivative of camaraderie. It's a derivative of assisting one another with the never quit mindset. And it's also a major component of how we deal with our struggles, how we deal with tough times is through that humor with each other. And I know we talk about it all the time on this show. Marcus, you talk about it all the time with your buddies, that stop by, HQ here all the time. So
what's that? The $1 billion question, or however much it costs to make a Navy SEAL. All the psychiatrists, psychologists, everybody comes in to test us and evaluate. Remember that test we had to take? First phase is like a book.
And you took it after you just got pummeled on long PT or something?
And I remember just like you would do in high school and college, everyone's kind of congregating around outside. You're like, hey, how did you pass? Man, I don't even know.
Yeah, I never saw anything
I
coming.
mean, they asked, if you were a painter, would you paint a tree, a flower?
I
never thought of.
If you had to kill,
Hey, but we had a guy who failed
elephant,
it. We had a guy who I guess answered it wrong, right? And
Right.
they jerked him out of there.
Like, bye-bye.
Yeah, got rid of him quick. I remember that.
You also
We were in
wonder,
the pool when it happened.
like, is there some computer thing they put the answers in and it goes beep, 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 beep. And it's like you put too many C's or D's.
Right.
And when you're exhausted, you just try and
See
break
out.
them up.
Yeah, right.
Like, I need it B, B,
Plot
C,
method.
D, B, B.
Right. Yeah, exactly. As soon as they program it, it goes, psychopath. Just the light comes out.
Sociopath.
Sociopath.
Psychopath. We can live with the sociopathic behavior, but
Perfect.
not the psychopath.
Perfect, yeah.
Too far.
All right. So, Wizard, do you have a little background that we can share with everybody?
Yeah, a
about
little
Derek?
bit about him. Derek Weida. Let's see. So let's go to the military. His military experience was he was in the Army 82nd Airborne.
82nd.
He was wounded.
Brag.
He was
Black hats.
wounded doing
Brag.
going door to door doing some.
They're not black hats.
Well, jump school, airborne. I always think it's airborne. No, the instructor's at airborne. Remember black hats?
I'm sorry. Yeah, but you're an 18 Delta too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know.
Home
I'm
of the
not
82nd.
talking about 82nd. Those guys got red berets.
Airborne.
Very cool. Yeah, airborne.
Airborne.
Airborne. Whoa. Airborne. Whoa. Sorry.
Can I direct your attention to the 80-foot sling tower? Just shut up so I can finish this.
Are you fired up?
Oh, dude.
It wasn't even 80 foot. I thought it was that.
It was up there,
Goddamn
bro.
thing.
And we,
It's only like 30 feet. Was it like 30
it's not
foot
bad. I
sling
suck
line
at jumping, man. I
tower?
burned in on the tower drop.
You did not.
Yeah, man. I hit the ground. I hold
big
my
pile
head.
of spilt,
Dude,
whatever.
man, it was.
Dude, the class before my class is they had 2 team guys or 2 tadpoles went up, hung from it naked, and took photos of it. Right?
They're still. That was. Go ahead.
No, that was the thing. And so my class, like our in brief and Benning was like, and any of you tadpole think you're bad, hang from that tadpole. You're going to court martial. And we're like, okay.
They tell us, but the problem is they tell us what the class ahead of us did. So
Always.
one of us the class before us hung a sheet and and had the Bud's class number on it, and a storm had come in and blew it into the canopy riser, and it somehow jammed it up. So when we got in, the black hats they were all over us, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Because of your class and because of the one before us. And of course we had to do something, but we just waited till the.
They think they're telling you what you should not do. They don't
I know,
realize
exactly.
what they're doing is telling you where the current standard
is, right,
so that
exactly.
you could exceed that.
Any idea what you're dealing
That's
with
probably
here?
part of the reason why I got kicked out of that school.
Right,
once.
and that's why it's good when the sergeant
I
majors
love that
walk
you
up.
got kicked out.
I know, that's unbelievable. Not really. Yeah.
All right. So third deployment to Iraq, what happens to Derek?
They're going door to door. They're in Baghdad. He takes a round through the knee, puts him down, wakes up in Germany. That carries itself through. Eventually, he gets medically retired in 2009. In 2011, they amputate the leg. Now there's a whole arc of how he dealt with this throughout all that, and we're going to get into that later. He's really built himself into an internet presence and as well as involvement in some
Massive
other
following.
projects as far as he doesn't call himself, he calls himself an amputee-extraordinaire, not a wounded veteran.
I like that.
All right, he's an amputee extraordinaire, at least
Own
according to
it.
thing. He's involved in something, he started or at least helped found the Next Objective, which is an organization that gives grants to veterans for gym memberships, training, events, sponsoring, something like that. He's really wrapped, it seems like his persona, his mission in life is revolving around fitness as an adaptive athlete, right?
He's bad.
Adaptive athlete. To the point where he's also involved in something called Rush Club, which is a super interesting,
Like Fight Club, but for fitness.
yeah, they go head to head in these
WODs. CrossFit. I say it. WOD.
in these CrossFit competitions where it's 2 adaptive athletes going head to head, and it really, from what I understand, gives them a forum that didn't exist before that to compete in. So gives them something to shoot for.
I dig it. So what do you think, man? Because this dude's funny. We are going to be rolling. I guarantee it. You, the listener, are going to be rolling. And I'm telling you, man, if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome on board. Thanks for being here. Stand by because this is going to blow your doors off. You're going to learn stuff that's going to help you overcome adversity, face obstacles, get fired up, learn that never quit.
right.
You're going to be hilarious. You're going to be cracking up. And if you're a fan of Derek and you're here listening, thanks for coming over. Thanks for being in the show. And if you're coming back for more, stand by because Derek he is the never quit attitude. That's who he is. He exudes it. He oozes it. So let's get Weida on the show right now. All right, man. Marcus, one of the things, there are dudes out there that just make you feel better in a really kind of funny, scratchy, tingly way. And I couldn't quite put it.
That's okay. It just depends on where the tingling's happening.
It's all about
Yeah,
location.
that wasn't me.
No, it is you. And let me finish because the first time I ever saw you, you're wearing a American flag like barbecue top, nothing else. I think you were actually naked underneath. You're just going big, talking about getting off your ass. You're talking in a reality that cut through the bullshit in ways that it just wasn't really out there on the internet at all. And you were talking for the first time that I saw and I heard from what I was used to as a veteran and coming from where I was born and in the teams and being a part of the military. And so to be able to bring you on to share with our listeners, brother, that is epic.
Yeah, that's the first one I saw too. Yeah. I didn't have it. Didn't send me with a name. One of the boys sent it to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Dude, I must have sent that to like 50 people, bro. And they're like, you gotta check this dude out. So without further ado, Derek, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here. You want to know a funny story about that video?
I do.
I hated it. Like, we did that video 2 times before that final video, and the first 2 times were like your run-of-the-mill. I wanted to be like educational and help people out with fitness, and they were just really boring and just like every other video out there. So one day we were kind of like, I was done with the project. I was like, screw it. Let's just drink beer all day and get this video done. Whatever we put out, we put out. And then it ended up turning out somewhat okay. So,
well,
you know? Like,
well, it's so funny you said that, man. When you take the constraints off and you just be yourself and you let that happen, man, that's where the gems come out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the video works so well because it's like just like that, like we made the video simple so it was good. And fitness and health, it's so simple, but people make it so hard that everyday folk they're just overwhelmed with information and they're confused to the point of paralysis and they do nothing, so it's kind of relatable on a very bro level. So
I love it. All right.
Well, we've talked about this video so much. Let's just throw out the title in case somebody wants to watch it. It's called Losing Weight with Derek Weida. So YouTube,
go find it, listen to it, watch it, and get off your ass, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Derek, the way we start the T&Q podcast is we got to do a warm up, right? We gotta limber up because we're getting all old. A few of us are already starting to complain about back pain and knee pain.
That's not fair.
And you just complained about
yeah.
You just complained about knee pain bad the other day.
I did, man.
As you came off your tractor.
Yeah. Right. We can talk about that openly because of him, man. But yeah, make sure that doesn't make it out to the general masses that I'm complaining about pain. All right.
Well, we've crossed over the threshold of 40.
Hey, do you have you still get phantom pains?
Oh yeah.
God dang, dude.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we'll just be sitting there watching TV, and it's the worst because like when we have guests over, like my wife, she understands my phantom pain, but we'll just be sitting there watching TV, and people are over, and all of a sudden I'm like, like just screaming out loud in pain, and everybody kind of looks at me, and I just carry on like nothing just happened, and they're like, what was that?
That's exactly what happens, man. I've been around some of the guys when they get it, and if it's a good one, man, if it jerks your ass off the couch, man, people are like, what do? We douse him with water or do CPR? What's going on? He's like, my leg is killing me. Like, it's not there.
But you ain't got no legs.
You ain't got no legs.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like we'll be sitting in the car sometimes, and it's just like and then I carry on like nothing happened. It just makes people feel weird and uncomfortable. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's what's so funny about it, man. All right, so
just real fast.
Yeah,
I think it's so crucial, man, that when operators get injured and they lose extremities, the personality and the sense of humor that we have, makes it livable, right? And the fact that he gets out and talks to civilians who've lost limbs and stuff, it's more difficult for a regular person. I mean, in us, it's like, he's turning me into a Terminator, that kind of whole thing.
Right.
And when you have that mentality that we have, when you can make fun of yourself and laugh at the situation because your plight is just something that's stuck on you. It doesn't really have to determine which way you go, man. And guys like that who can push past it, man, that just opens up the door for so many, especially kids, right?
Oh, I can't imagine.
Those appendages away from kids, man, that's a whole different world. You got guys like that, like Chad, all them guys, man, they're just harder than they were before. That's awesome. Did
you find, before we get into Mad Minute,
I should have thrown that out later.
No, it's all right. It's legit because I think it's a valuable lesson for our listeners that, you take something and the humor of a defeating potentially defeating, debilitating injury or whatever, it's physical or mental, spiritual, whatever. But then you can flip it through humor and actually get deeper faster in how you connect with others. When did you first realize you could do that, Derek?
Well, so like with my I'm grateful that the Army taught me what it did. Like the Army, like everything I learned in the military, it taught me how to be a good soldier. And I didn't see, but like everything I learned in the military, I utilize now. Like yeah, sometimes life sucks, but you just like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do about it? You might as well have a good time, even when things are when things are dire or something like that. So kind of what you're saying, like, yeah, it's I'm fortunate to have had the upbringing I did in the military to allow me to live the way that I do now. With people say like they commend my positive attitude in such a bad circumstance, and it's like, dude, Mike, I'm still alive. Like I'm still breathing. I have a lot of things to be thankful for, and I have a lot of things that I can still continue to work towards. Like my life, it's not like nothing's ever as bad as we think it is. And that's one thing I've learned through all this. Like as time goes on, things get better. And yeah, there's so many like getting wounded in combat and having a disability sucks every day, but it teaches you a lot about you. Really grow. It's actually kind of cool. It makes life a little bit more interesting. It's like adding a good seasoning to a steak,
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the biggest problems in the beginning, especially, is when we got the people who talk to the guys who are injured, that haven't been in combat, haven't been injured. Man, your perspective is different. I mean, it has to be. They look at it as like a horrible situation. It's okay to feel like this.
Right.
But the way we've been trained, it's kind of like, I got hurt, man. I need to get back online. It sucked, but it's supposed to. That's what I dig about it. That's why I signed up for this, right? I want it to suck.
We like the suck,
right.
for sure, right?
I mean, a lot of the guys, they come back and it's been taught to them that, hey, man, civilian life's hard and to assimilate back in is going to be. I don't think about it like that because, man, you're kind of an advanced human coming out of the military. You've been taught to deal with the rigors and the tough situations, and you're right, man. They try real hard to separate you from the military part of it, but you really need to embrace it.
I wasn't as cool as you guys by any means, but like joining the infantry, and then yeah, you got everybody's life. There's some people's lives are ruined forever because they were involved in an explosion. And it's like, what'd you do in the military? Like, I was in the infantry. I was like, what did you expect? What did you think was going to happen? That is literally exactly what you signed up to do. It's like you get a job at McDonald's and you get, your life is ruined because they make you make burgers. Like, what did you think you were going to do? I'm not sure, but
that's awesome.
It looked a lot cooler on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, man. I mean, other people like I signed up because I saw what you went through. It was cool. No, it ain't. No, it's cool to me because I was trained for it. But you just walk your butt in there and have to experience what most of us go through on a regular day, man. That's where people would get the stress.
Oh, totally.
Just watching what happens to us.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely. All right. We
digress.
digress.
Man, we just did a whole interview before
that was like the whole show right there. All right, let's go. We're a little warmed up. Let's get really warmed up with the Mad Minute. So no holds barred on the answers. Just fire away. Marcus, go ahead.
All right. If you could have bionic legs that can make you run as fast as a Ferrari, or would you rather have the Ferrari?
I want the Ferrari. I'm not in a hurry to get anywhere on my legs, man. Like,
hey, you never know, man. Some of them guys just gotta.
Ferrari is pretty cool. That's a pretty solid answer, right there. That's some straight honesty there, dude. All right, if you had to fight one, who would it be? Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 2 or Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando?
I want to fight Rocky, dude. That'd be a dream. I'd fight Stallone just to get my ass beat by Stallone, and then tell my friends, like, dude, I got whooped by Stallone this one time. It was awesome.
Right? Yeah, awesome.
Have you ever had your ass whooped? Hell yeah. Let me tell you about
the story. Rocky beat my epic. And the Eye of the Tiger was playing the whole time in my brain.
In my head while he was stomping the crap out of me, man. I was like,
just swollen face in the hospital bed with a smile and a thumbs up, like.
As long as he's wearing the American flag trunks while he's beating my ass. All right, favorite movie character you like to play out in real life?
Oh, shit. Chief Brody, Jaws.
Awesome answer.
Wow, dude.
We're
good
gonna
pull,
need a
man.
big. That's why you said we need a bigger boat. Comment to me there yesterday. You
That's good. Jaws has been on too, man. I've been catching snippets of it the last.
Oh, it's on all the time.
What a
in
great
the
answer.
summer.
That's totally
Yeah,
outside the box.
I never.
was, man.
That's the best one we've got yet. I love it. All right. If you could go back and live in any decade throughout history, what time period would it be?
Yeah, I'm a big nut on like the early Roman days. So whenever that was something AD, huh? Back when like the Rome and the Senate were just in their early days. That's like the time of Julius Caesar. I'll go with that one.
So
That'd be cool.
Full power Rome or coming up Rome?
No, like
full power.
Full
Rome?
power. Yeah. Julius
Full
Caesar
power,
was
full
power.
conquest.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
And what
Nobody
would you-
said Rome yet.
What would you be doing?
Making money off the land, dude. No,
Raping and pillaging. What else?
What's that guy be doing?
I just
World
told
of
you
War.
the height of the
different-
Roman army, right? That's self-explanatory.
I love it.
Yeah,
All right. Here you go. That was my question. You're next, Marcus.
What was your first car, bro?
oh man, it's a Saturn Ion. Just a weak little Saturn Ion. I'm not a cool dude like that. It wasn't a truck or a cool car. I bought a $13,000 Saturn Ion.
Nobody has a cool car, their first car, right?
Bro, I had my mom's Maxima
Yeah,
with no back shocks.
If you're the cool car kid at 16, I think you lose something.
You're hated. I hated
gotta-
that.
you-
too.
Technically, so like I couldn't get my parents when I was 15, 16. They said that I could get my license if I got a B average in school, and I said no, thank you. So I had to wait till I was 18 to get my license because I didn't care about school. But my buddy had a license, but he didn't have money. But I had money, so we bought it like a big van, a big white painter's van. And we used to in high school, we would smoke it out and drink in it and get to school and stuff. So technically, that might be my first vehicle is the old van.
I think that's it. That's a lot cooler
No
than
windows,
the Ion, bro.
no windows, free candy, spray painted on the side of the.
Dude, it was that van, and we had like a couch and a beanbag chair in the back.
Yeah.
Where
did that come from?
Then you steal the ice cream guy's little song and you drive around
So,
the neighborhood? Is that what you're talking
One
about?
of the boys on one of those little rabbit holes we were going down the text message, man. Somebody sent me a picture of a real van. It had free candy.
Oh my
Spray painted on the
God.
side of it. Exactly the van he's talking about. You know what I'm talking about,
I
man.
I do. All right, Wizard,
That's brilliant.
hit him up.
All right, if you came back as a ghost, who would you want to haunt?
My sister, just because like, I'll just make her life hell. That'd be funny. It'd be very entertaining for me to haunt my sister. No grudges or anything. I just want to, I just want to mess with her. So it's not out of hate. It's out of love. So.
It's total passion and love. I love it, dude. All right. Last question is, what's your favorite swear word?
Fuck.
No. What's your favorite swear word?
That's actually on Facebook. There's you can do surveys to find out your Disney princess. I'm Ariel, and then you can do like your
What? Where's that? Where's that?
like you can do your most used words on Facebook, and it puts it in a little circle image, and all you see is fuck, fucking, like different variations of fuck, and then there's shit, workout, kill. Like those are my most used words on Facebook.
No wonder vets get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Hey,
that's
I
awesome.
called home one time, and my father, who was also a sailor and
Right.
sport, we don't cuss around women, but I was on the phone with him, and he's like, son, what happened to your vocabulary? I'm like, what are you talking about? I was dropping the F. We learned how to. You're around the guys a long time, and you're deploying, man. You can use a whole sentence with that word.
Oh,
And
bro.
it fills in everything.
Bro, I was
It's bad,
instructing
I
a
mean-
class. So the first week was Med Week and SQT, and I was giving my big hoo-yah speech of what they needed to do, and I finished, and I'm all fired up, and this junior officer raises his hand and goes, Instructor Rutherford, and I go, what the fuck you want, sir? And he goes, do you realize that you just said the F word 16 times in one sentence? And so I was like, F you, sir, drop down, you
Yeah,
know?
go get wet.
Absolutely. It's ingrained in us.
I don't even notice that I swear so much. And like I'll put videos on the internet, and you know, people will be like, can you post a video with less swear words, or they share the video and they're like caution bad language. I'm like, why is it even fucking, who the fuck cares? Like, who's like, how is me using the word fuck ruining your day? You know, like, what the fuck? It's just a word. It's like an expression. It's how I express myself. You know, it's not cold outside. It's fucking cold, man. You know, like,
That's the emphasis.
Dude, it's the only word that's a verb, an adverb, a gerund, a noun.
Yeah,
I mean, it's awesome.
Conjunction. It pulls it all together.
On that note, let's pivot a little bit. Let's shift up the tempo. Our listeners come to the show, Derek, because they're searching for some pearls of wisdom, some nuggets of information that are going to spark that fire in their gut, that's going to enhance their ability to face adversity, overcome obstacles, and really give a kick in their pants to get out there and start experiencing life to its fullest, to find purpose and just drive on with the never quit mindset. So if you could, would you please share your greatest never quit story or stories with our listeners, brother?
Yeah, I'm gonna preface with like my greatest, or my biggest regret in my life, like the one time I quit. Yeah, I know this is the never quit show, but here's a lesson I learned when I quit. So like, I wasn't born a hard dude. Like, I grew up in the city. My parents, they're both really soft, and you know, like, violence wasn't we couldn't be violent in the house. I didn't shoot guns or go hunting or nothing like that. I grew up a little bitch, and you know, when I did, you know, and I was like this emo
That's
dude.
honesty right there.
And luckily I got into fitness when I was 17. I joined the Army, and so I wasn't like this hard dude, but I wanted to go, you know, like just like every other dude in the infantry, I wanted to get like Ranger qualified and go the Special Forces route. That was my goal. Not to say that I would have made it, but I definitely would have tried. But I was I finally signed up and for Ranger school, and I went to PRC at Fort Bragg, the pre-Ranger course there, and you know, like, and it's funny because now I'm known as Derek Weida, the dude who doesn't quit and things like that, but I quit PRC, you know, like I straight up just quit. And it was for a couple of reasons, and they're all stupid, you know, like you guys know, and you didn't quit, but everybody gets those voices in their head where you just like quit, you know, and I gave into that voice in PRC, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. And when we got deployed right after, and like, so that was my big goal and dream in life, was to, you know, like, go to Ranger school, you know, get that Green Beret, do that job, hang out with those guys. And because I quit, and then we got deployed and I got shot, I never have another chance at that because I bitched out the first time. So like, quitting, like, and so like, I've never quit anything else since then, you know, like, that was the one big thing I quit in my life. And it just, you know, like, I'm on the one hand, I'm glad it happened, because you have to learn to like I don't beat myself up for quitting PRC. It's not like, oh, you're a worthless piece. I mean, despite what my first sergeant told me, you know, you know, I get back to the unit, he's like, you're the most worthless piece of shit I ever met. I'm like, God damn, dude, that's kind of harsh, man. You know, but you know, there's lessons in quitting, and I think you have to get some of us. You know, some guys just go right through. They're made for it. They're wired for it. But some people learn at a slower rate, and you know, I just learned that you know, I know what quitting feels like. I know what that feeling feels like, of regret and just wishing you could go back and not be a little bitch about something, you know. And so now in my life, you know, like, I've done weird things. Like, we do a 12-mile Tough Mudder on crutches, and it's, you know, people ask me how I do these things that I do today, and it's like, the truth is, like, I know what quitting feels like, and I hate that feeling. I hate that version of me. Like, we all have that version, like the voice in our head that says quit, and the voice that says, like, you know, just keep going. Right. And I hate the version of me that wants to quit. And so now, you know, I don't really have like this grand scheme, this plan. You know, there's when I'm doing something difficult, I don't have this voice in my head that's talking me through, like, this is why you shouldn't quit or something like that. I just know I'm not gonna quit, you know. And things get tough, and I look like I'm sucking. We were doing Murph last year, and I did it on crutches. It was like 100 and humid, and I was about to go. I was looking like I was gonna go down, and people around me, they're like trying to motivate me. They're like, "Come on, Derek, you can do it." I'm like, I know I can fucking do it. I'm just on crutches. Leave me alone. I'm gonna make it. Just fuck off. You know, like, and so you just, and then everything becomes a habit, and that's the thing, like quitting becomes a habit. You do something too many times and it becomes a habit. It's the same with not quitting becomes a habit. The more when you get to that point where you're at the crossroads, like, the T intersection, it's like, go left, quit, go right, don't quit. The more often you go right, the more often you will go right. And it just becomes, so, now people commend me on my ability to not quit or something, but it's a mindless thing. It's not something I have to try to do. It's just who I am now, because you make that decision so many times to not quit, and it just becomes a habit, and you don't even think about it anymore. You just sit there and look around like, oh, this one sucks, but that's all there is to it. It's like, oh, this is pretty tough, but you just keep going. So,
well, I if I can back up a little bit with you, you experienced that feeling, man, and I'll be honest with you, I thought about it every single day in buds, and I actually feel the same way because I got out too early, right before Iraq kicked off, and I always regretted that, had that guilt, and bared that cross. But so I feel you on that, man. But what was the thing that you deployed right after? Because you were in combat, you're there with your unit, you were, it was going down.
Mm-hmm.
Did it make you better in that deployment? Did it make you harder? Did it make you more focused, more dialed in?
You know what? Like I did, I grew, so I quit PRC December. They kicked me out of Bravo Company and they put me in Charlie Company. I showed up and the platoon sergeant said, like, I don't care. Like, you're here now. You're a team leader, your pass is over, and they gave me a clean slate, which was real nice. And
that's cool.
We were in Iraq, like 2-3 weeks after, and this is the deployment I got shot on, so like early January there, and like I grew a lot from that experience, and then I definitely grew, like, so we were in just outside, in and out of Solder City in 2007 there, so to say I grew up fast that year,
I bet.
Yeah. So.
And it's remarkable to me about timing and how timing in our lives work, and how, you can't really say, all right, if this negative thing happens, I know this is going to happen down the road, because it really sets you, I believe, up for when you did get shot and having to go through that process. Would you talk a little bit about your attitude when you woke up in Germany and just your whole, your fight in that space?
Yeah. So, I got hit on a house raid there, and then woke up in Germany. They fly me to, long story short, I wind up at Walter Reed there, and I took a bullet just like side to side right through the knee. So it just like blew out the whole middle, and top part of my knee. Like, I still have condyles, but like my knee was gone, and they didn't really know how to fix it. Like they flew me to Womack at Bragg there for my surgeries, and I got to Womack, and they just said, like, we're not qualified for this mess,
Sucks.
and so they drive me. So it was actually fun. Like, fly to DC, they fly me down to Womack, and then they drive me in an ambulance back up to DC. And I've been like, they've been pushing too many meds on me, so I was feeling a lot of pain. And the ambulance driver was cool as shit, man. He was like, dude, they gave us a lot of morphine for this trip. Like, he's like, you just want it all? I was like, motherfucker, yeah, I want it all. Put me out, dude.
That's a question
for me, one for you.
Right now, I should be asleep, man. So.
I know you're driving, so you just have a couple, okay? But if you could turn on the radio to some of that easy listening.
We're just in the back laughing, squirting in each other's mouths and shit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hit me again.
So I get to DC there, and I'm on the Ward 57 back then, and they do a major surgery, and they put like a big plate up my femur, and I got like 27 screws in my leg. And my knee wouldn't bend though, like it was. I basically had a fused leg, and they kind of, it was early on in the process, and they told me, as far as a prognosis, like best case scenario, maybe someday I'd walk unassisted, like walk without a cane. And dude, I wasn't done yet, so I told him back then, I was like, cut my leg off. I was like, just cut it off. Give me a working leg, because not to talk shit, not to say I would have made it, but I was, in my head at the time, I was like, it's someday in America here, like there's going to be a dude who goes to Ranger school with a prosthetic and graduates. There's going to be a dude who goes to selection with a prosthetic and graduates someday. I'm not saying that I'll be that guy, but I'm saying like I got the dick to try to be that guy. You know?
Awesome.
So I really wanted them to cut off my leg back then, and but doctors are doctors, and they wouldn't do it, you know, and because like the normal human response is to save the limb.
Yeah, Hippocratic oath, man.
I have friends now who have like legs that aren't legs, but it's their leg, so they don't want to cut it off, and they can't run or work out or something like that, but they're attached to their limb. It's like they're sentimental about their leg, but by definition, it's not a leg because it doesn't do what a leg does. So the doctors didn't understand my mentality on that, you know. And
well, yeah, I remember that back in the day. We kind of talk about this a little bit, man. Guys would they get those knee injuries, 20, 30 surgeries to hold on to that thing. I mean, and it's, the technology's come so far now. You know, you get a splinter in your knee, you're like, take it, go ahead, get rid of it.
yeah,
give me that leg right over there, right there, number 27. I want that one. You know, that kind of thing, man.
I lived through this amputation, so every time I stub my toe, I'm like, fuck, cut it off. Cut it off. I just get another amputation, double my social media following overnight.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I literally trying to make myself into a Terminator here. I want to be all Cyberdyne systems from about the chest down.
God, dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So back to the story. They, I really did. I argued with the doctors for 2 years, and they're like, well, let's try this surgery. Let's try this surgery. And finally, like, I was like, just cut it off, man. Let me get my life back, you know? And they said, all right, we're going to try one more surgery, and if it doesn't work, then we'll talk about amputation. We did that surgery, and then it didn't work because, like, just my knee wouldn't bend. And, I was at the VA talking to this dude, Dr. Nelson, and they denied me the amputation. So in 2009, they medically retired me. And then, like, 2009 to 2011, like, I won't lie, I wasn't, those were dark times for me, you know, like that was my phase where I really did sort of just give up on life for a while. And I thought that because, you know, honestly, like I made those mistakes, like in private, I thought that because my life as a soldier was over, that my life was over.
Yep.
You know, so I was just sort of on a crash course for death. I didn't care. I didn't live with any purpose. I didn't care about anything. I was just, you know, I was drinking all the time and living recklessly because I had a plan to just to die. I was like, my life's over, you know? Yeah, so.
Yeah, I was there with you, bro, when I got out. 3 years, man. Same thing for me. Trying to figure out what that identity is when it's taken from you. And for you, like they took it from you, you know, just said without a choice, man. You know, I mean, that's got to be even more difficult, I would imagine. Yeah,
it was tough, you know, and because like, so like I got into fitness as a teenager, so my mental issues aren't military related. Like we have depression in the family, and like I had my first run-in with suicidal thoughts and whatnot when I was a teenager. Like I said, I was like this really emotional kid. Like 15, 16, I had my first run-ins with suicide. My parents took me to a psychologist, and this dude suggested I start working out. And I was like, well, that sounds stupid, but you know, like,
that's dumb.
But so I quit smoking weed, I quit drinking, and I started running and working out. And so fitness became my new drug, you know, and I sort of lost a lot of that ability when I just had, you know, when I had my human leg that was fused. It hurt like a motherfucker. It didn't do anything. I wasn't in control of my life, and that pissed me off, you know. And then finally, I went back to that same doctor in 2011, same doctor at the VA that denied me, and he approved the amputation. And I swear, man, as soon as they gave me what I want, I told them from the start, it's like, if you just give me the tools, then like I wasn't in control of my life when I had my leg. Like there was nothing I could do to make my leg better. Right. But now with this prosthetic leg, it's like my success is determined by like how hard I'm willing to push myself physically and mentally, and that's what I'm good at. That's my intoxication, you know, like I love that. That's my purpose. Like that's where I find meaning and purpose in life, is just pushing myself. And that's what I loved about the military. And so they cut my leg off, and I got that part of me back. And here we are today, you know.
I love that. What was the point, you know, in 2011 where you're like, that's it, enough. I gotta get in there and convince this doc to take my leg.
So in December 2010, there, like, I was at the end of my rope, man. It was kind of, I remember I was just sitting in my room. It had been 2 years, and I was kind of like teetering in between life and death.
Yep.
And I was alive, but I wasn't living for anything, and I wanted to die. And so it was like by November, December 2010, I remember thinking, I was just like, this is it, man. Like, quit being a bitch. Like, make a decision. Choose life or choose death, and fucking go all in on one. You know?
Awesome.
So and oddly enough, a dude I served with, he got medically retired. He heat catted twice in selection, and they retired him. And he's a big dude. He's a barrel chested. He's like 6'4". You know, if he was lean and ripped, he'd be 250. You know, so he got out of the military, and he pops back up to pushing 300 pounds there. And this is back when Tough Mudders were just sort of coming out. You know, They weren't too popular yet. And he put it out on Facebook that he was going to start a Tough Mudder team for the following June 2011 there. And it was kind of like an open invite. And he was sort of using this as a way to, like, get back in shape and do this fun race and bond with people. And just out of the blue, man, I had lost contact with everybody. And I just wrote to him, and I was like, dude, can I be on this team? And he's like, absolutely. And so, you know, I say what really, and so from that moment on, like, I had something to train for. I had something to work towards. And that just provided the right type of spark, you know, that provided a spark in my life. And then I threw fucking gasoline on it.
That's awesome.
And it gave me something to do. And so, you know, I trained for that, and we went out and we did the Tough Mudder on my broke ass leg, and it hurt. And it was cool. I rode that, you know, euphoria for a few days, but then the pain set in my leg, and I was back on a cane right away. And my buddy Sean, he says, why didn't they just cut that off? And I told him the story, and he was like, fuck that shit. We're gonna do it ourselves. And so dude, they know shit. Like, started looking into nonprofits, started searching for doctors, and we were ready to do it ourselves, you know. And while they were doing all the logistics for that, I was like, well, it can't hurt to go back to the VA, you know? And I, you know, went and saw the doctor. I was like, look, this is what we got going. Like, I'm going to cut my leg off because I'm done living like this. I want to live my life. We're cutting the leg off. Either you're going to do it or we're going to fucking do it. So they did it.
Can you describe the hours leading up to it, and then the feeling? Because you describe, you know, on your site and in other places, you describe that freedom that you experienced. Can you take us through that, like, an hour before, and then when you...
Well, I mean, let's be real. I was cutting, like, it's a risky fucking move, you know? That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off, you know?
Not exactly. Let's add some more salt to the soup and see what happens.
Check. Okay.
So the doctor says yes, and then it was funny because we're sitting there in the doctor's office, and he's just sitting there typing on his computer, and me and my ma are there, and we're pretty sure this dude's going to say no again. And then he's staring at his computer, and he just casually says, he's like, so when are you available? I was like, bro, I'll cancel lunch. Let's do it today. So we schedule it. We schedule it for a month out, and you know, that's when a big thing I know about life is, like, what, right or wrong, the right choice or the bad choice, you make a decision and you go all in. You don't question shit. So it's like leading up to the amputation, it doesn't matter, like, how terribly wrong things could possibly go. It doesn't matter. Like, I made the decision, and I'll deal with whatever the outcome is, you know. But fortunately, everything worked out, and I was high on drugs, obviously, but they rolled me out, and there's pictures of me, like, just coming out fresh from the amputation, just smiling and giving thumbs up and stuff like that. I was just a happy dude, you know. So
awesome, man.
Yep.
And it was almost like you were reborn. And how did you go from there? Well, I mean, because you're now all of a sudden you're free from this anchor, so to speak. And how did you, what did you just start thinking? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What was next?
Second time I'll say this today, like, you're really overestimating my intelligence here. Like, I did not have a plan, you know. It's like, so I got cut December 6th, 2011, and I got my first leg like the first week of March or so. And I had another Tough Mudder coming up June already. So they wanted to do, like, physical therapy or something like that, where they teach me how to walk, and I was like, that sounds boring as shit. So I just I got my leg, and I got a personal trainer at the gym, and we just worked on walking and sidestepping and karaoke. And I was like in like I fell 1,000 times, and working on working with dumbbells, just learning how to use my body, how to use my leg. I had to like start over, but I never really stopped to think about how shitty it was. It's just like I have to do this if like, because I wanted to be this person. I had this idea in my head of the things I wanted to do, the person I wanted to be, and so I had to take that road to get there. So I didn't have any questions. I didn't think about it. I just did what I needed to do, and it sucked and it was hard, but it worked.
Right. Absolutely.
And I was just thinking about that when you were talking about falling down. It's one of those deals where when you're going into that situation, you kind of front load it. Like, hey, look, in order to have this epic life that you're having right now, I'm gonna need you to fall down 1,000 times. Can you do that for me? Nothing else, right? You're just going to be over here, and all we're going to do is fall down. That's what we're going to be doing, all right? And eventually on that 1,000, whatever that number is, man, you're going to walk, and you're going to fall anymore. You cool with that?
My trainer, actually, he legit said, he's like, you're really good at falling. I was like, the Army literally taught me how to fall.
Yeah, PLF. Yeah, there you go.
I was fucking airborne, dude. They taught my ass how to fall. I'm in there in the gym PLFing from fucking 6 inches off the ground,
Yeah. Was it 6 points of contact? Yeah, PLF.
Yeah.
However many points of contact.
Knees,
I was always
hip,
feet head.
You were feet head every
head,
time.
yeah,
Every time you hit that ground, it's just like whoa.
Feet head concussion.
So I actually I wish, so I didn't start doing like videos and stuff like that on the internet till like 2015. And so I just like I was 4 years in at that point. And like I went through the first 2 to 3 years, it was just really weak ass training and just back to the basics, the foundations, and everything looked stupid. It was so people didn't start seeing what I was doing until I was already able to do it. And I don't have any video or pictures of what it was like to get there. So people have this misunderstanding of me, like I'm just a natural athlete. I'm Derek Weida. I'm just good at everything. Like, fuck no, motherfucker. It took 4 years of shit to get here. Like, it was hard to get here, and I wish I could show that to people, because you just say like, it's okay. It's okay to look stupid. It's okay for things to be difficult, because look at like what I'm able to do now is because I put in that time and work for so long.
Oh, sure, man. That's why when people look at it, when you look at an athlete or someone like you that's so graceful about it, it's because most everybody else looks ridiculous trying to do it. That's why people look up to the people who can do something really well.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to look like an idiot when you start something. It's not you're good at everything. I was bad at everything. All right. And I literally had to you nuts and bolts it to the very beginning and look like a moron. And hey, look, that's the best part about it. All right. Because you know when you look like an idiot, right?
Totally.
Yeah, and
you can't hide it.
After the training, you see it yourself. Like, I'm starting to get in the hang of this, man. And then the hook is when somebody else says it to you. It's kind of like when you go into the gym. People think, oh, man, 6 weeks, that's a long time to get in shape. Well, there's actually a progression through that. I mean, like in a couple of weeks, man, you're going to see a little movement here or something like that. And all it takes is for one person to notice that. Like, hey, man, it looks like you've been working out. And I'm like, okay, this is working. Looking like an idiot is obviously working, man. And then next thing you know, somebody will walk in and be like, hey, could you show me how you got like that? And then that's when you're like, all right, I guess this is really doing what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's perfect that you said that, because a lot of people look at the end game, right? And they focus on it the entire time. Well, that's you find your end game and what it wants to be, man, then you shovel it to the back, right? And it's the fuel that drives you through all the in between till you get there. And most of the time when you do get there, you don't even know it, right? You kind of like when we were SEALs, right? You didn't know that you were.
No,
it never really registered because we're around the guys. We didn't call each other that. Hell, we don't even wear our tridents. You know what I'm talking about? Right. It takes somebody else to kind of let you know that.
Yep.
And that's the beautiful part about it.
That's a perfect thing to say, because like I still don't think that I'm good at what I do. Like I still feel like a student all the time. Like I still feel like I look stupid every day. Like nothing's ever good enough, but that's good. It's like you just sort of stay in that mindset, and that's good for endless growth. It's pretty cool.
No, it's a strength that people have when you're born weak, or if you go back down behind the 8 ball or down deep down the rabbit hole, you're kind of down there by yourself, man. And that's kind of the power that pushes it.
Well, that's an interesting comment that you made. You feel like you're down there by yourself.
Yeah.
But I believe the true ignition point comes is when you make that contact of like-minded people who can be supportive as you're falling on your ass 1,000 times. So, Derek, when you were in that 4-year, coming back phase, who did you surround yourself with?
As far as when the first year, I think 2012, I actually moved to Denver and lived by Sean, my buddy who helped me out through the amputation and helped me get there and stuff. I moved to Denver and I lived down there, and I actually kind of took like sort of a year of living casually, because it was the first time I was out of pain. I wasn't just stressed out about my situation. I was living downtown Denver. I was having fun, drinking beer, eating good food, training casually, just enjoying life for a little bit. And those people my friends down in Denver, they really had this cool taste for life. Like they were all fit and active, but they didn't care too much. Like they didn't judge themselves by how strong they were or how many abs they had. They judged themselves by how often they laughed together.
That's cool.
And so they taught me down there like how to enjoy life again. And then when I moved back up to Minnesota, I got back into training, but I didn't forget that. It's sort of like how to enjoy life, things like that. So
you can tell that's people who incorporate the workout into your life. Like it's an extra deal. Like, I got to go work out. And then there's people like, this is just a part of it. Like, this is waking up. I go to the restroom and working out. That's part of
it's part of who I am.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, like it's just something that helps me exist. And it's not a workout. Like I have to go do this extra, man. It takes that pressure and that stress away. And it takes that feeling like, oh man, it's late. You find every reason not to go exercise. It's kind of the first thing that goes away when the stressors of life kind of comes around, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Derek, I
try to tell people, like fitness, it's like fitness is my life because it's what I do. It's what I do for a living, basically, But like fitness doesn't have to be everybody's life, but it should be a part of your life, because like I call it like the foundation. Or like, so you have fitness here, and then maybe you have your friends, your family, your wife, your job. And if you lose everything, you can always have a foundation. So that's something you can't fall below, like you get
baseline.
If you have a foundation, you can't fall below that, like, so that's something you can always have. And so it's just kind of like this cool thing. It makes you feel fucking good about yourself. So
heck yeah, it does. All right.
Yeah, most people find an excuse to get out of anything hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, we find an excuse to stay in it.
Absolutely.
And people think going to the gym is the only way you can exercise. Getting on that treadmill, get outside and you see what I do, man.
Absolutely.
The treadmill will make you miserable. People are like, I hate cardio. I'm like, yeah, you're fucking literally climbing a stairway that goes nowhere.
Depressing, right? And they'll do everything they can to modify it, to put a TV in front of it, to put hydraulics on it, you come in the mountains. I'm like, why don't you take your ass to the mountains?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you, brother. Derek, one of the questions everybody wants to understand. So you made it through the 4 years. You got yourself back. You got some identity back. You learned to live life in a more purposeful way. What was the trigger to say, you know what? I'm going to put some stuff out there that is going to help people. I'm going to keep my service. I'm in a different way, and I'm going to serve people to live better lives. What was the catalyst for that?
That's sort of a long story. I'll make it as short as possible. So like 2013, I moved back to Minnesota, and I was in school, and I got accepted to the U of M to finish my degree in psychology. And I get to Minnesota, and I remember thinking, I was like, I'm sick of sitting in this classroom talking about life. I want to live life. I'm going to go try life, and so like this is a good message for veterans getting out. You have to sit down and you have to say like, who am I? What do I like? What do I like to do? And how can that benefit other people? And I was like, okay, so I like fitness. Maybe I'll go be a personal trainer. And then the gym that I wanted to work at told me I had to cover my tattoos and shave my face. I was like, see you later. And
bye.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll just open my own gym. Don't know nothing about it. And so I started this little project of opening my own gym. And I got on the local news there and stuff, and it started gaining some traction on the internet. And then up in Minnesota there, are you guys familiar with Anytime Fitness?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're based out of Minnesota, and the CEO called me up, and he wanted to partner up with me. And I worked with them all 2014, but it sort of fell through. We had different visions, you know, like they're great people, but we had different visions, and I don't, but through that process, like what started out as simple as like, all right, it started with a question like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to do with my life? But then, you know, as it evolved and it changed, it became less about me and more about other people, you know, and then in late 2014, when that all fell through, I was like, all right, shit, like I'm not making an income. What can I do to make an income? And that's when I turned to the internet and I fired up the Facebook and the Instagram, and it started. The reason it started was to make money, you know, but it didn't take but 6-7 months for that not to become the purpose of my social media anymore. You know, like now it's like my social media isn't my business anymore. It's this really cool community, you know, and it's a fitness page. And if you look at other fitness pages, that shit's all negative as fuck, man. Everybody's just arguing and shitting on people's forums and arguing with each other. But my social media has become this like really cool, positive community of people who like are not all super fit. We're just like it's just sort of naturally evolved into this cool thing, you know, and it makes me feel good to have that in my life, and like just as much as I help people, they help me, you know, like being able to interact with them there, it helps me too. And so, you know, and the lesson I learned through all this was you know, when we get out of the military, some people struggle because that loss of that feeling of service, that's like doing something that's bigger than you and serving your people and your country. But what I learned is like there's a lot of fucking ways to serve, you know?
Amen.
Just find one, just find a different one, you know?
Well, hey, since we're in this realm and we're talking about, you know, benefiting others and the projects you're into, maybe you could tell us about what the next objective is, or Rush Club. These are two things you're involved in. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So the next objective was me and my buddy Sean started that, and it was just so it's because the two things like what pulled me out of my slump back in 2010. Like I boil it down to two things: reconnecting with my veteran friends, like reconnect, and just people in general, and like purpose-driven fitness, you know? So like there's a difference between working out and working out for a purpose, you know? And so that first Tough Mudder, that was my next objective, you know? Something to look forward to, like a short 4 to 6 month, like a short-term goal, something to look forward to, something to give you something to work towards. And so that's what we came up with the next objective, and we promote fitness and community, you know? And basically what we do with that is we give grants for gym memberships and training, and actually now we build a lot of home gyms for dudes and sponsor teams to run different events. And in Colorado and Minnesota, they have really good community chapters where they do like a couple group workouts a month on the weekends and stuff like that. And it's nothing big. We don't want to take that big time because, you know, it's a passion project for us, you know? So it's just one of the ways that we can continue to serve our friends. And we don't do it because we have to, we just do it because we want to and we can, you know?
Cool.
Yep.
The Rush Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to hear about that. That looks super interesting.
Yeah, Rush Club's cool. It's like the UFC of CrossFit. Or technically you can't say CrossFit because CrossFit will sue you or something. So
Is that right? Is that
it's
really?
the UFC.
Yeah.
I just call it CrossFo, like FUX, you know, like
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just one-on-one matchups, and they have like men's heavyweight, middleweight, lightweight, and then women. But the cool thing is it's a place where adaptive athletes can compete because, you know, there's so many different, you know, it like my life kind of sucks in a way because like I'm an above knee amputee and I'm an elite athlete, but there's no grand stage for me to compete at. Like I train as long as anybody that goes to the games, and as well, I'm disabled, you know,
Right.
But they can't do an adaptive division at the CrossFit Games or competitions because you got me, and next to me is a dude missing an arm, and next to him is a person in a wheelchair, and next to them is a person with Down syndrome, and next to them is, like
Sure.
so many different disabilities out there. It's not an even playing field. There's no champion or something. So Rush Club, just one-on-one matchups, it can be, there's a wheelchair division, a below knee amputee division, an above knee amputee division, missing an arm, and probably pretty soon there'll probably be like a CP division, because there's a lot of people out there with cerebral palsy that are like doing like these motherfuckers couldn't walk 3 years ago, and now they're squatting 200 pounds.
Oh my
Like,
God!
yeah.
That's awesome. I just saw one that blew me away recently. We had Greg Jackson, the big time MMA coach, on, and he's got his awesome gym down in Albuquerque. And they brought in a guy who had Down syndrome, whose dream was to train in MMA, and now he's there all the time. Like, all the guys work with him, like Jones and Holly Holm, and like they'll work with this kid on grappling and it's the coolest thing I ever saw. So I love the fact that you guys are providing a whole nother forum of appreciation and community. It's really cool.
I'm smiling from ear to ear right now, because 2 days ago, so like we talked about many ways to serve. My wife and I volunteered for the Best Buddies program, where we live in Las Vegas there. And Best Buddies is where you get paired up with somebody with like Down syndrome or like severe autism, something like that. And you become like their friend or mentor. So like 2 days ago, I finally got paired up with a guy, Sean Teef. And like he's into working out, so now I can take him to the gym and teach him what I know, and like I'm really excited about doing this here, and it's about to kick off. So yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, brother. Listen, we got just a couple more things. We got the people that are at home right now, and they're listening to this. They've been laughing. They've been getting just incredible wisdom from you. Again, I hate when you sell yourself short, brother. You got a depth and an insight that is so wonderfully unique and so refreshing, Derek, that please, it's awesome. So what would you tell, are there a couple things, 2 or 3 things that you can share with that person that's at home, that is in that space, that needs that little kick, that whatever, that they could take with them today to get them in the fight, to get off the couch, or to just face what they're going through? What are some of those things?
Yeah, well, I would say anybody who listens to this who's listening to this podcast, they have a fire inside of them, and maybe it's died out over the years, and maybe if we can, maybe through listening to this, it sort of sparks back up. Like, people have that voice inside. Everybody has that, like, that burning desire somewhere inside to be. Everybody has this vision of the person they want to be, but
Amen.
We get, like, sometimes we fuck up too many times for too long, and the weight of those burdens feel too heavy. And you just got to forget all that shit. You you just got to say, fuck it, I'm going to start today. And it's like, it starts so small. It like one step at a time. The problem with people, or a common problem people have getting into fitness, like, you got a 300-pound dude who hasn't worked out in 15 years, and he tries to get a six-pack in 6 months, and it doesn't, so they like crash diet and work out too much, and they just go to super extremes, like one thing a day. If just like maybe your first step is signing up at the gym, and then you don't even fucking go, but you went and signed up, and then you go tomorrow, and then you work out, you start working out, and then you start eating better. It's a slow process, but start today, because when I look back in like 2009, 2010, when I thought my life was hopeless, like I thought it was over. Like I was, that's the word, hopeless. And I never saw this. I never saw today, and wow. Today is fucking great. So you don't know, and you can't get there unless you start moving, and it's one step at a time. Like one small fucking step at a time. So just start. Like, everybody knows what they need to do. So, like, if they're listening to me say this right now, they know in their head right now what they need to do. Start doing it. It's that easy. Just start doing it. Listen to that voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, Derek, what's next on the horizon for you, brother? What do you got in the works? What, how can people support you, become a part of your community? What's out there?
For me, it's just sort of, my life is simple now, man. What I do now is I just share my life, and I chat with people, and I sort of share the things I go about. And in some weird way, like my purpose isn't to motivate and inspire people. My purpose is to live my life my way. And it just so turns out that that's sometimes inspirational and motivational for people and things like that. And so they just kind of sort of find me and follow me. And maybe once in a while I say something that resonates with them, and that's how I help other people. And so, my wife's in the Air Force. She's getting out next year, and we're talking about where we're going to move and plant roots and open up a family gym so one business in one community where we know the people and we make relationships and just live a simple, quiet life. That's my goal, man, is just sort of like to take my life back and live like a personal life with my wife and family and close friends,
That's cool. That's really
honestly,
cool. Well, listen, brother, I tell you what, when that happens and you get there and you're dialed in, please, we'd love to have you come back on. And so, because I think there's a concept in simplicity that you're learning how to perfect that is essential for people's happiness. So when you're there and you got it dialed in, we'd love to have you come back on and continue sharing, bro, because we just think the world of you, man. You're an awesome mug, bro.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. I appreciate that. And then like I said at the beginning, it's like I don't do podcasts but it's really, it means a lot to me for you guys to even invite me to be here chatting with you today. So this is pretty cool for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been so awesome. Well, listen, God bless you and your wife, and we'll just keep on keeping on, bro. Have fun in St. Louis.
Right on, man. I will. Thank you.
Yep.
Take care.
I love that dude. I don't know what it is, boys, but there is something about his simplicity that is infectious to me because I haven't figured that out.
No, he's a man on a mission.
Totally. To get there, right? To simplify his life.
Yeah, he's really latched onto this. I mean, it's his lifestyle. Partly his living, of course, and it's become part of his identity, but it's something healthy, and you're right. It's that simplicity, that singularity, and he's a man on a mission.
Well, it's crazy to me, I don't know, I think it was last year or sometime. This is a guy that has a massive following, right? I mean, a massive following. And he took himself out. He just, he said, I'm off, I'm done, I'm not doing anything. Because like he had said, it had contorted his perception of himself, which social media can do if you let it get away from you. And in that time, that reflection period, and he came back, it was just different. He was the things that he was saying, his style, what he was putting out, and it was really refreshing to see that, a guy that, has this influence is able to take that moment to be introspective and to realize that what he's doing is more about servitude than making himself feel good, right?
Yeah.
It's a metamorphosis.
Totally.
I caught one of the things he said. I hear guys say this a lot, especially when they're talking to guys like us, and they're like, "Oh, I was only infantry, man." I don't like it when they do that. Now that I'm out too, when we're in and we got our Budweiser on, we're team guys.
Right,
I was the worst about it. But you ground pounders out there, the infantry guys, man, I was we were on a sniper hide watching these guys go from house to house, right? Door to door, man, and just wrecking it, man, just pushing through there.
Full tilt, stormtrooping
Full tilt
it.
boogie, man. So much kit on, you could only see a head and boots.
They had the groin pad,
everything.
The flare neck.
Thing, yeah, so these kids are 18, 19 years old, man. That gear just swallows them. And it's just boots and a K-Pog. And that big old rifle, right? That M16, that fixed stock.
The M16A1.
Long barrel, hanging down. Yeah, when
it's like this big, dude.
6.5 feet long.
They can't even get a cheek well on it.
You know when someone holds the rifle backwards? It's just so long, right? And mean, they were just in it. And they'd come back in and check in, and we were just kind of sitting there. We were covering down on them while they brought an ARG in, actually, and we were covering down on them while they were going block to block. Right. And ever since I saw that, I was like, hey, don't don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, man.
Well, he's got 3 deployments to Iraq.
Oh, that's
You
hard.
know what I
Yeah, man,
mean?
them guys are hard, man. You know, they do that street walking during the day. That in
Totally.
itself is
That's
nuts.
just silly.
That's just
That's
nuts, man.
That's not.
But he has, man. He put the work in the military, and then he gets out, and a lot of people, when they look at somebody and they have an amputee or a disability,
Right.
If you don't have one, you're like, well, he can't do that because of this, and I can't do that because I'm just being lazy. Or I can't. They can assume they can do it better because of that.
Right.
And what's brilliant about him and what he's done, man, is he has that disability word, man. It's a
tough one.
That's a mindset thing too, man. Like what?
Well, I think in his mind, the way he feels it is, listen, there's
I'm 100%
something
no
I'm
matter
missing.
what, man. My leg was made of bone and skin.
Right.
But you just put me a titanium leg on here. I don't feel disabled. I feel harder. You know what I'm talking about? And that's that mentality when they have to, and that's a word, right? When they describe you, and words have meaning and they have power. I get that.
Yep.
But if in yourself, man, if you're that type of person that says, man, I lost my leg and I'm disabled, or I lost my leg, now I have a freaking Terminator now, right? That whole mentality. I'm a cyborg, now.
The usage of words.
Shoot
and
me in
your
my
mind.
knee now.
I love where you're going with that, because I think that's an essential component of the never quit mindset. It's the repetitive nature of telling yourself, I can do it. One step, like he said, one little bit at a time.
Yeah, what was he calling it? We call it baseline.
Right.
Baseline. He was calling it something else. I was like, man, you're going right down that same path.
The foundation.
Yeah,
is
the
what
foundation.
He
That's right. And he said something too. He goes, one day an amputee will be able to make it through selection. And I was like, man, because we have tons of guys who have
been operational,
but they're in already.
Yeah,
right? They've already proven themselves. And think about that. I mean, think about
Chad,
that.
I'm surprised no one's tried that. I mean,
that's
are we
hard.
sure no one has tried that?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, no,
they
in our program,
absolutely can't get that waiver.
Nope, no way, not initially. Yeah.
Because granted, the guys have already proved themselves, and then they get something removed, and they get the.
Well, imagine the wealth of knowledge that
that's
they
what I'm
have.
talking about. They've been tested, right? And that's basically what you're dealing with here for somebody who's trying to come in, is they haven't been tested, well, mentally,
right?
I guess.
And that's the name of the game. You're absolutely right, because those are mental tests much more than their physical tests.
I don't know if I'm explaining this right, man, but those guys like Chad, those amputees, man, they are just hardcore, dude.
Hard as nails.
Hardcore, man.
Well,
I'm lucky enough.
If you watch Derek compete in these, in the Rush Club, you watch his face against a full, 2-leg, 2-arm, in shape guy. You watch. There's no quitting that dude. And the pain
I bet you this. I bet you when he's competing against somebody else, he's not thinking that he's a prosthetic leg.
No way. I
bet both of them are down there. I'm moving. You know what I'm talking about? You get into that situation where it's go time, man. All that goes away. Even when they have the Paralympics, when they're running and they're getting after it, they're not running like, oh, my leg is, I'm running with, they're not doing that.
They're just pushing what they got.
Up here, man.
As they got.
Or 100% at that moment.
Yes.
I mean, if you're busted up, man, and someone's talking to you and you talk busted up, you talk weak and you talk like I got a problem, man, then well, they're gonna double it, right? And they're like, oh, he's being coy right now, so he's probably a lot worse than I thought. Or if you're talking to that dude and you're like, happened with Dana. I was hunting with Dana one time and he fell in the mud.
Right.
And I started laughing. I was like, good job, dumbass. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, man, my leg I was like, what's up with your leg now? Come on, let me hear these. I had no idea he was a double amputee. He came driving, none. He came driving up, they didn't tell me.
God.
He came driving up in his truck, and just got out, shook my hand. We went out on the hunt. We were just trumping through the woods, man. He fell. He tripped a couple times, and then he fell that one time. I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? Come on.
Yeah.
He's like, my leg is kind of, and it was real muddy.
Right.
And it sunk down, and then he pulled, and his leg came off, and I was like, what the hell? I looked over at the producer. I was like, you got me. He was in on it. The whole time. Right. I'm going to bag on you anyways.
Yeah,
that's my levity.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we do, man. But
external wounds, internal words, you're getting.
I was like, man, I didn't know
you
you was missing a wheel. He's like, yeah, and he rolled over and the other one popped off. I was like, oh, he's missing both of them. I was like, what else, man? Come on. And I didn't help him. He's kind of,
he figured it out.
Locked back in, dude, and we pushed. But Yeah, it's that mentality. I mean, that you can kind of, when somebody walks up, man, you can read them like something wrong, something's going on, something on, whatever it is, man. But those people who don't think, because literally, man, if you think about it, your arms and legs they don't control your life. They just carry you through it, right?
Well, I imagine it's so traumatic because when this happens to a person, it fundamentally changes their image of self.
Absolutely. It's
right.
not natural. You're absolutely right. And that's
regardless
why it's so important
of
to have
what specifically it means they can or can't do, what they've lost, those specific things, it's fundamentally changed a conception of themselves that they've had since they were born or had been developing since then. That's got to be traumatic.
That's because of other people.
In and of itself. Just that change, regardless of specifically whatever it means, that's a crisis of your identity.
Yeah, Derek's
right?
a living example of exactly what you just said. I mean, in the beginning, he got crushed and this, that, and the other, and it changed who he was.
Yeah.
It took that to make him into this. Hey.
And then he started rediscovering, like you say, that becomes his new baseline.
Yeah.
He develops a new identity, wraps it around this, and he takes off with it.
And it helps out even more because of how strong he is, how weak he used to be, right?
Absolutely. You have to hit the weakness point. You have to hit the point of introspection to say, all right, I'm not happy with who I'm identifying with. Let's make the changes. Continue on down the reestablishment of self, which you were talking about, Wizard. It's such an essential part of coming through that space, right? Where you're really beaten down, you're really lost, you're really doubting yourself. The fear has gotten control of you. You don't utilize it as a counter. It's just saying, hey, who is the person I want to become? And what pathway am I gonna choose to get there? For Derek, it's fitness. And that got him to that space. For other people, it might be, getting a doctorate in something. For other people, it might be doing missionary work. But there's a pathway to evolving. There's a pathway to a new self. There's a pathway to becoming the person that you ultimately want to be. It's just got to put in the time.
Oh, he said that too. He's like, hey, start like right now. Most people it's Wednesday, I'm going to start working out and I'll start on Monday because it's an even day or whatever. 7 days, it's nothing even about that. Start right now. Go in the refrigerator, dump everything out of there. And if you're going to change your diet, change it. Don't leave everything else. Most people just kind of, we don't ease into the cold water, do we?
No.
Oh, but you just jump right on in there, right?
Right.
And that's, the learning curve can be pretty steep depending on what you're doing, man. And that's why we baseline, right? We start this small and work our way up, man. But the surrounding
and he
area.
exactly said that. That was part of what he said was get started now, but take those little steps.
Right. Perfect.
Hey, you got a reader story over there?
I do. And we're going to shift it up a little bit. This reader story has got a little bit of a twist at an end. And because one of the things we get a lot of through the website, and if you're a first-time listener, please, first let's thank you for coming on board. We really appreciate it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. But second off, listen, if you want to know more about the site and about other guests and what we're doing and our purpose, our mission, go to tnqpodcast.com and check out all the things. But most importantly, if this show has affected you, please feel free to write in and share your greatest never quit story with us. Because that's what we want to hear. We want to create, like Derek talked about, a community for positivity and fitness. For us, it's a community of positivity that describes people's never quit moments that we can share with one another, that other people can tap into. So go ahead and write in, share yours, or someone you know or care about, share their story. And if it's good, we're going to read it on air. And if it's really good, Marcus, what are we going to do?
Bring you on.
We'll bring you on here and you'll be a guest. Well, this one, we get a lot of stories that kind of have a question to them, that they want some advice to it. So the Wizard thought it would be a good idea if instead we just read their story, that we possibly take a look at their question and we give it a shot at answering it. So are you up for that, Marcus?
Do it.
I know Wizard is. You're up for it?
See what happens.
Let's see what happens. All right, here you go. This is from Roy. First off, I would like to start with saying thank you for your service and for continuing to inspire. I enjoy hearing the stories of incredible difficulty, but I've become even more motivated by the day-to-day never quit moments that you tell. I was 18 and did not know what to do with my life. I left home at 16 and moved in with my grandparents. My home life and childhood was not normal and pretty rough. So I joined the Navy. Best decision of my life. While doing PT one day, I passed out. I was sent to medical and then sent to the cardiologist there at Great Lakes. He diagnosed me with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. After multiple appeals and denials, I was finally denied the ability to continue my journey in the Navy. They supplied me with a cardiac defibrillator, pacemaker, and sent me on my way.
I was about to explain what that is.
It's where basically his muscle tissue to push his ventricles and his atrium, they're underdeveloped, so he can't process enough blood through his tricuspid valve.
Imagine like a it's just a blob, right? It doesn't fire. It doesn't go lub-dub like and fire everything like it's supposed to.
Doesn't have the energy and the ability.
Old man's heart, right?
Yeah,
Older
old
heart.
man's heart.
Cycle enough blood.
Right.
Barely, right? So he's got the pacing wire and defibrillator in there, and every time once the heart slows down hard enough, it'll start to fibrillate, and that pacing wire and defibrillator shocks it back into firing it back up, and the pacing wire keeps it going, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. When I got back home, I was more lost than ever. The path I'd made for myself was gone. One day I saw an ad about becoming a medic, so I picked it up, showed up at class the first night. It was a tough program for me. Every day I had to convince myself being there was the right thing. I can look back and remember how tough that time was for me, but also how proud I am of myself that I did not allow myself to quit. However, today I find myself in a bad place. My heart and my mind are not in sync with each other. My life is on autopilot, and I'm not sure how to get out of it. I feel that I have no purpose and that I'm not contributing. I know that it's not exactly true. I have a wife and 3 kids that depend on me, yet I still find myself with no motivation and no goals. I find myself being a person I do not like. How do you combat this invisible enemy? That's a tough question. Especially, I remember when I was riding on the ambulances in New York City, when I was going through our 18 Delta training, and also when I was doing my paramedic refresher in San Antonio, Texas. I was doing the same thing in the ambulances and in the hospitals. And I remember that just the day-to-day grind of having to deal with people that were sick or that were struggling or, you know, that lived in economically depressed environments that didn't have the same opportunities or advantages as other people became really numbing to me, because I had to numb myself from the pain of what, you know, people dying unfortunate deaths, or the pain of just seeing people not take better care of themselves. And I had to get to that point where, you know, I had to spark it every day, because it started affecting every aspect of my life. Just the grind of that perpetual negativity.
You hear about that a lot. I mean, with law enforcement as well, right?
Law enforcement,
Very
firefighters,
ER,
ER docs,
people work in the ER,
all over in every profession where there's an underlying tone of negativity. Burnout. Yeah. That's exactly right. People experience burnout. So for me, listening to Roy, I would say, Roy, you know, it sounds like you might need a break. You might need to take some time off. Take 30 days to rejuvenate yourself, to go on a trip somewhere. It doesn't have to be a crazy trip like, you know, overseas or anything, but take your family with you. Go to the mountains. Reset yourself on the importance of what you do for a living, because it's meaningful. You're saving lives. Reset yourself in a place that you can really tap into the beauty of the love you feel for your family, the beauty of the love they feel for you, and get a different perspective on life. And then try and re-engage. What do you think, Wizard?
I don't know how to add to that.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's a very reasonable assessment, is that he has just lost perspective. I mean, we're kind of jumping to that conclusion, right? I mean, don't know for sure. But
Not from
you're
a
right.
writing.
He's involved in something that truly does an important piece of work. He ought to feel rewarded for doing it. He ought to feel that sense of purpose that he's lacking. So I think it's reasonable to assume that that's exactly what's going on with him. That's a great piece of advice, I think.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can add to it.
I think you shouted out burnout, Marcus. Can you talk a little bit about burnout and what you've seen before? And did you ever experience any kind of burnout? I know I did, man. There were times where we'd come back from, 30 straight days doing CQB or mount or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I was tired of it.
And I needed to take a step away from my platoon.
Right. So what starts happening, man, is when you engulf I don't think we're designed by nature just to be so focused on that one thing, right? And when it comes to us, we have the repetitive. I mean, we're talking about days without sleep, going and going and going and going and going. That's how you can get to. I get tired of it,
right?
But I loved it so much, right? And I knew that it was part of. It was. I had to do. It was part of me. I had to do this. You can think about it. Here's the deal, man. If you start thinking about like a job, that's bad
deal.
That's bad news right there,
in that
man.
line of work, what Roy does,
you gotta love it.
Deal.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
You gotta be connected to the higher purpose of it.
The great thing about what we did for a living, man, is the environment changes all the time. The situation changes. I mean, just all the time, right? So the minute we start combat swimmer, we all get burned out on combat swimmer, man. And right when you're just about to cut your own head off, right, you get to go do something cool like ITI or whatever. Right? They throw that in there on purpose. So. With that being said, man, just everything that we go through, I know when I've been pushing so hard on something, I shift focus onto something else.
For a bit.
Yeah. And what it does is that if you truly love what it is you're doing, that you'll start to want it.
Right.
That's good, because I've been sitting here thinking about a prior precedent from a guest we've had that we've asked about that. The only one I can think of is John Resnick. We actually asked him that question, the founder of the Chive. They're on a 24/7, cycle where they're just putting out more and more and more and more. There's no break for somebody like that. And his answer was that he tries to maintain an element of levity and fun and have a balance between it being serious at the same time maintaining some fun. Now, being a medic, that doesn't exactly necessarily correlate, but I think what you might be able to do is just consciously look for the positive aspects of what you're doing. So it's refocusing yourself. And it is directing your attention into that.
No, that's a great answer.
Yeah, I heard a lot of those doctors, the nurses especially, they're the ones that run all that stuff in there. And they were talking about, I don't focus on the injury and the screaming and everything like that. I focus on once I take care of it, the other side of it when they're healed up.
That's good perspective.
I mean, you kind of, and you're right. You hold on to that. All right, man, I'm gonna have to walk through hell to get to the other side of that thing over there. But look what's over there. And you just, you keep holding on to it. And what we said, man, when there's not an end game, if you're in one of those professions, it is incumbent upon you to take that vacation.
Absolutely.
They give it to you on purpose, and you're like, well, I'm overtiming it, and I skip my vacations. Team guys do that. I mean, how many days? We came out of the military with over 100 days on the books, something like that, right? But that's it, man. It's good it's one of those situations where you unplug and go do something else, and when you're over there, people are like, what in the hell are you doing here? Well, I would never have... and they're doing a painting class. If you're some hard-ass SWAT guy, write poetry or calligraphy, right? Just something to throw you completely off.
Use the other side of your brain.
Yeah, exactly, man. Work that. And that's designed for a reason. I mean, a bad day is one thing. Burnout,
a whole nother deal.
Everybody will be able to see it, because usually everything will start falling apart behind you, and the last thing to go down is on the job.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Good point.
You look at the end out, what happened, and you're like, well, what led up to that? And then you look back and like, well, damn, dude, he's burned out. You didn't see that? Well, yeah, but he told us that he was good to go. Well, of course he did. Of course he did.
Right? Yeah. So, Roy, I hope those answers help you. We're praying for you. You'll figure it out. But, if you need some more advice, go seek somebody that you really trust.
Yeah, the best
love.
part is that he knows it.
Oh, absolutely.
You can go through it without even understanding what the heck's going on.
And keep it suppressed. That's the great challenge. So, Roy, I'm sure your organization has a place you can go get if you need professional assistance, go find a psychologist that could help you figure it out. Ask your wife. Don't be afraid of that. Or go find a swim buddy in your life that really cares about you, a good friend that can give you some perspective and give you some ideas that might be beneficial. So hopefully that works. So, This is the end of the show, man. Again, man, I just want to start my thanks by reaching out and just say thank you, Derek, man. You're a true inspiration, brother. Again, don't sell your soul short. You're a tremendous influence. You've got incredible wisdom and experience that's beneficial for so many people. I just thank you for coming on. I also want to thank God. I want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this and helping me with my purpose in life. I appreciate that. I want to thank my girls and my family. I want to thank, the people who listen, because without you, we are nothing. Without you, this show ends. It doesn't continue. So thank y'all. Marcus?
Absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic that we get to do this.
It's crazy.
I'm so thankful, man. I appreciate you guys bringing us back. It's always good to have someone like Derek on here, man. It's
truth.
Gets it straight, right? Reminds you. And again, thank you guys for bringing us back. I'm out.
I'm out.
Never quit.